Finding my dream home felt like stepping into a movie. It wasn't a sleek modern box or cookie-cutter suburban house. It was a sprawling 100-year-old mansion, complete with turrets, a wraparound porch, and the kind of history you could feel in every floorboard. Sure, it was neglected. Peeling paint, boarded-up windows, and a garden overgrown into a jungle. But I saw its soul. The grand staircase, the stained glass windows, the craftsmanship hidden under decades of dust. It all called to me. I poured my life savings into it, knowing this would be the project of a lifetime. The seller, an elderly woman whose family had built the house, was just thrilled someone wanted to restore it. She casually mentioned that the land was technically part of newer housing development, but my property was grandfathered in, exempt from HOA rules. I didn't think much of it at the time. That was my first mistake. For the next 2 years, every spare moment went into restoration. Weekends, evenings after work, I learned plastering, refinishing floors, and restoring intricate woodwork hidden beneath layers of paint. Friends and family thought I was crazy. But as months passed, the mansion slowly awoke. The facade, once a sad gray, became a stunning Victorian cream with dark green trim. I planted roses and hydrangeas straight from old family photos. My home transformed from a crumbling relic into a labor of love. The house was more than wood and nails. It was my sanctuary, my masterpiece. And then the first HOA letter arrived, a crisp white envelope with an imposing logo. I almost tossed it, thinking it was junk mail. The letter was polite, but firm. It complained that my vintage cream paint was not approved and that my restored mailbox was non-compliant. I laughed. My house predated their cookie-cutter neighborhood by a century. I wrote back calmly, explaining my property was grandfathered in, just as the previous owner had said. I attached a copy of my deed, which showed no HOA covenants. I expected the matter to end there. I was wrong. A week later, another letter arrived, this one less polite. It listed new violations, my landscaping, antique light fixtures, and the historic fence I'd painstakingly restored. A $500 fine was attached. I called the HOA office, where a woman with a voice like broken glass informed me that, supposedly, a county ordinance had absorbed all properties in the development into the HOA. When I asked to see proof, she dodged and demanded payment. I refused, and so the war began. Letters kept coming. Fines skyrocketed, from $500 to $1,000 to $5,000. Every detail that made my historic home unique became a violation. They demanded my wavy century-old glass windows be replaced with vinyl. My roses had to go, swapped for generic shrubs. It felt like they wanted to erase history, to turn my dream home into another beige, lifeless box. I hired a lawyer. He confirmed my suspicions. My property was indeed exempt. He sent a strongly worded letter to the HOA. For a few weeks, there was silence. I breathed again, hoping the nightmare had ended. Then came a knock on the door, not the mailman, but a county sheriff's deputy. My heart sank. He looked uneasy, holding a thick packet of documents. The HOA had placed a lien on my home, claiming unpaid fines had ballooned to $50,000. Worse, they delivered a notice of foreclosure. They threatened to demolish my historic home if I didn't comply. Demolish it. A century of history. My labor of love, all at risk over paint and flowers. The deputy was sympathetic, but clear. He was only delivering the documents. He quietly suggested contacting the Historical Society and the media. That was the spark I needed. I wasn't fighting just for my house anymore. I was fighting for history, for principle, and to stop bullies from erasing the past. I spent the night drafting emails, calling reporters, and reaching out to preservation groups. The response was immediate. A local news crew arrived at dawn, interviewing me on the porch with my restored mansion in the background. I told them everything: the love, the labor, the harassment, and the threat of destruction. By evening, the story aired. Phones rang nonstop. The Historical Society called it a local treasure. Social media erupted. A Save the Mansion page went viral. Public pressure mounted. The HOA went silent. Their lawyers stopped returning calls. Days later, a letter from the county attorney arrived. The HOA's claim over my property was invalid. The ordinance they cited didn't exist. They had been bluffing. The lien was removed, and the county launched an investigation into their predatory practices. Within a week, the HOA president resigned in disgrace. Standing on my porch weeks later, I looked at my home in the afternoon sun. The vintage cream facade glowed, my restored mailbox stood proud, and roses bloomed in riotous colors. Victory was sobering. This fight had almost cost me everything. But it had also exposed a corrupt system, protecting others from the same ordeal. My house, a survivor for over a century, had survived the HOA too. And now, finally I could breathe, knowing it would stand for many more generations. Thank you for following this journey. If you enjoyed it, hit like and subscribe for more updates on the mansion. See you next time.